Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you've had a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. Buckle up, hit that like button, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about today, let's start today off on a slightly less intense vibe than the past few weeks. We've got some interesting entertainment business news we should talk about. Starting with the podcast world, which, of course, has been now around a while, but has gotten really interesting these past few years. You have things recently like that huge Joe Rogan deal, also deals struck with people like Kim Kardashian, Michelle Obama, entire companies being bought like The Ringer, Gimlet Media, and others. And if you're not aware, all those deals I just mentioned involve one single company, and that is Spotify. And they've been such an incredibly interesting and important company to watch over these past few years because they are buying every part of the ecosystem. Yes, we've been talking about deals that involve content, right, have face and name value, but we've also seen them in the past buying companies like Anchor, fantastic and easy way to create, distribute, and monetize your podcast. And on that last note, right, monetize. Today we saw big news with Spotify buying a podcast hosting company called Megaphone, buying the company for a reported $235 million, and among the reasons, because the company offers technology for podcast publishers and advertisers seeking targeted slots on podcasts. Also, now Megaphone hosted podcasts from publishers like ESPN, The Wall Street Journal, and others will have access to Spotify's proprietary ad insertion technology called streaming ad insertion. And that system, very interesting. It makes real-time decisions about which ads a specific listener should hear based on their data and also based on the goals of various ad deals Spotify is currently running. And that's what makes this deal so interesting. They've now built out this fully rounded out podcasting ecosystem, a network of exclusive shows, a podcast player, podcast creation software, a hosting company, and its own ad sales team. And that may also be the reason we're seeing reports this week that they might be considering launching a separate paid subscription just for podcasts, which, would be incredibly notable because, as of right now, you can listen to podcasts on Spotify for free with ads or without ads if you're one of the 150 million people who pay for its music streaming membership. And of course, with this, there would be the question of, would this impact all podcasts, only Spotify originals, only select from the Spotify originals? But also, of note, it's not just Spotify. In fact, this week we saw reports that Apple and Sony are reportedly eyeing a $300 to $400 million acquisition of the podcast network Wondery. According to reports, there have been at least two other companies that have joined them in negotiations, though they have not been identified and nothing has been finalized. But a key thing here is that it's being reported that Spotify is not one of the bidders. Right? So in addition to this, if it goes through being one of the priciest agreements in the industry, it also, I think, shows the escalation of the arms race in the podcast world. And while I do get excited with a number of these stories because we see big money being thrown around or systems being put into place that can help creators, the big question mark and kind of the concern is at what point does that turn into something where we wall off content for money? Especially in a world and an entertainment medium that I believe has primarily succeeded because it is so accessible thanks to its free but ad-supported format. And so I guess with this story, if there is something I can kind of tag onto the end of it, is there a singular or a batch of 5 or 10 podcasts that if they got put behind a paywall, you'd be like, fine, that's enough of a reason for me to go Spotify Premium or whatever service? Or especially because what we're talking about are not newly launched podcasts, you would resent it and not pay for it. Or I guess maybe even more practically, just don't want another paid subscription service. And then in a different kind of business news, we should talk about the European Union hitting Amazon with antitrust charges. Specifically, those charges being filed today in relation to France and Germany, which are Amazon's biggest markets in the EU. And there we're seeing the European Commission accusing Amazon of abusing its dual role as both a retailer and a merchant. Right, so essentially, Amazon hosts vendors on its website, allowing them a place to sell their products while at the same time selling their own products on that same site. Now, that by itself has been a frequent target of controversy surrounding Amazon, especially since many small businesses will sell their products on Amazon simply because it's such a dominant force in online retail. A shopper is a lot more likely to find your business on Amazon than they are to find and then go to your website. But also, a thing that Amazon tends to do is if they notice a product is becoming popular, they will then start making their own version of that product and sell it at a cheaper price. A move that unsurprisingly can really damage small businesses that do not have the same level of resources Amazon does. Which, it's Amazon. No one does. So a lot of small businesses are essentially like, hey, I'm in a damned if I do, damned if I don't situation. And that is where the EU charges are coming in because according to the Commission, Amazon has fed non-public seller data, right? Things like the number of products sold or how much a seller has made into its own retail algorithms. This in order to decide which new products to launch and what the price of each item should be. And that accusation is based on a review of data of more than 80 million transactions and 100 million products. With a top antitrust official from the European Commission saying, "We do not take issue with the success of Amazon or its size. Our concern is the very specific business business conduct that appears to distort competition, and adding data on the activity of third-party sellers should not be used to the benefit of Amazon when it acts as a competitor to these sellers. Also, alongside those charges, the Commission has now announced that it has started a separate investigation into Amazon's policies around its buy box. Right, those sidebars that make it incredibly quick and easy to add items to your cart. And as that Commission official explains, the buy box is essential. It prominently shows you offers for one single seller of a chosen product with the possibility for the consumer to purchase it directly. So winning the buy box is crucial for the marketplace sellers, as it seems that more than 80% of all transactions on Amazon are channeled through. And there, the Commission is specifically looking into whether Amazon preferentially lists their own products in the buy box, as well as products from sellers that pay to use Amazon's logistics service. With that Commission official saying, our concern is that Amazon may artificially push retailers to use its own related services, which may potentially lock them deeper into Amazon's own ecosystem. And as far as Amazon here, they have pushed back against these findings, saying no company cares more about small businesses or has done more to support them over the past 2 decades than Amazon. And as far as where we go from here, I mean, that's unclear, but what we do know is it will likely be very slow. For one, these charges are just preliminary. The Commission's actually needing to finish this investigation first, so I mean, this could take months or more likely years before a fine or other penalties are announced. It's also possible that these charges could be dropped if the Commission reaches a settlement with Amazon, but if the Commission does agree that Amazon violated EU competition law, I mean, then you're talking about a situation where Amazon could face fines up to 10% of its annual worldwide turnover, which, I mean, that's $37 billion, which also, wow, 10% doesn't sound like much until you say 10% is $37 billion. Now, with all that said, another big thing. Next month, the European Commission is expected to unveil a new package of laws in what could be one of the world's most sweeping set of regulations on the tech industry. Notably, that can include rules prohibiting self-preferential treatment and requiring massive companies like Amazon to share data with smaller rivals. And, I mean, this is an important topic worldwide. It is not just Europe. At the same time, we're also seeing that India has opened an antitrust case against Google. This over allegations that it unfairly promotes Google Pay on Google Play. And I mean, just last month here in the States, we saw officials taking aim at big tech companies, with the House Judiciary Committee accusing Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google of engaging in anti-competitive monopoly tactics. With that report hitting on a very similar note to what we're seeing from the European Commission, saying by controlling access to markets, these giants can pick winners and losers throughout our economy. They not only wield tremendous power, but they also abuse it by charging exorbitant fees, imposing oppressive contract terms, and extracting valuable data from the people and businesses that rely on them. But with all of that said, it ultimately comes down to a question that I'm going to pass off to you. Is Amazon the devil? No. Do you believe, based off of the allegations that we are seeing, there does need to be a crackdown on Amazon? Or for that matter, a number of the big players we just talked about? But from that, let's pay some bills and thank the fantastic sponsor of today's show, Vessi. You know, honestly, it is hard to find lightweight shoes that actually keep your feet warm and dry through rain, snow, mud, and Vessi definitely surprised me with these. And that's because Vessi makes 100% waterproof and snowproof sneakers that are incredibly comfortable, breathable, and actually very stylish. And they're definitely better than some clunky snow boots, believe me. Personally, I wear both their Cityscape sneakers and their latest weekend shoe. The Dynatex material is a dual climate knit, which keeps you cool in summer, warm in winter, which truly makes this the everyday sneaker, even for the upcoming rainy season. These shoes are perfect for running errands, the gym, going to the park with the kids, or even on muddy hikes. Just rinse them off or throw them in the washing machine. It is that easy. Also, be sure to check their incredible early Black Friday offer right now and grab yourself a pair for the rainy season while they still have your size. So yeah, just head on over to vessi.com/DeFranco right now. And if you happen to miss the sale, do not worry. You can use code DeFranco at checkout to get $25 off. And then let's talk about the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, and the Supreme Court. And this because as I'm recording this video, the Supreme Court is hearing the latest challenge to the ACA. Notably, this is the third time the issue's been brought to the Supreme Court, with the first 2 attempts being shut down back in 2012 and then 2015. But what we're seeing today with this challenge, which is being brought by Texas and other GOP-led states, is a focus on the individual mandate, which is the part of the ACA that requires all Americans to either have some kind of health insurance or pay a penalty. It's easily been one of the most controversial parts of the law, and when it was brought before the Supreme Court back in 2012, the court upheld the mandate 5-4. But then what we saw in 2017 was the Republican-held Congress passing a sweeping tax bill that tweaked the individual mandate by setting the penalty for not having health care to 0. And so now you have these GOP-led states arguing that because the mandate is now zeroed out and no longer raises revenues, it is no longer a tax and thus is unconstitutional. And incredibly notable, this is the key part here. They are also arguing that the individual mandate is so ingrained in the ACA that it cannot be separated from the law without scrapping the entire thing, which is a massive argument with massive consequences. First and foremost, if the Supreme Court scrapped Obamacare overnight, more than 20 million Americans, including roughly 12 million low-income Americans, would lose their health care, which is a horrifying prospect in general without even considering the fact that this is happening during a pandemic where we're seeing hospitalizations going up right now. Then, on top of that, you have to think of pre-existing conditions. If the entirety of Obamacare was rolled back, health insurers could start denying coverage to an estimated 54 million Americans, right? Almost 1 out of every 4 who have pre-existing conditions. What's more, because everything of course comes back to the pandemic, it is very possible that COVID-19 could become a pre-existing condition. Additionally, if you're a young adult, you could be impacted because one of the parts of the ACA is that you can stay on your parents' health care until the age of 26. And then, of course, you'd have older Americans being forced to pay more for prescriptions. All while, once again, you have a President Trump who has, I guess, just for the past 4 years been several days away from having this amazing healthcare plan. Right, this vast and beautiful healthcare plan that he constantly talks about just hasn't materialized. And so, with all of that said, and this specific challenge, there's been the question of, well, what could happen because you do have a new Supreme Court makeup. Trump has appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, now including Amy Coney Barrett, who notably has openly criticized the Supreme Court's previous rulings of the ACA in the past. But what we're seeing today from some of the initial reports regarding the oral arguments, what the Supreme Court justices are saying, is that the Affordable Care Act may actually survive. This because while the states are arguing that the individual mandate should be cut out and thus it should invalidate the rest of the ACA, today we heard from Justice Kavanaugh who said, it does seem fairly clear that the proper remedy would be to sever the mandate and leave the rest of the law in place. With Justice Roberts also saying, here, Congress left the rest of the law intact. That seems to be compelling evidence that Congress did not intend to repeal the rest of the law. And while those words do not let us know definitively how they will rule, it seems like a telling sign. Because if you have 2 conservative justices that want to save the rest of the thing, then the other 3 liberal justices would likely join them. Additionally, as Axios explains, the justices questioning also pointed toward another potential avenue to rule against Texas and leave the ACA intact. Several justices, including Roberts, questioned whether Texas had the legal standing to bring this case to begin with. This because Texas doesn't have to pay the individual mandate, right, the entry point into this argument, but also saying it's burdened by other parts of the law. But that theory, Justice Kagan said, allowing challengers to invalidate a whole law by challenging a specific provision that doesn't harm them, it can kind of explode the court's approach to standing. But for now, we have to do that very fun thing. We get to just wait and see what happens. And then finally today, and this story is actually somewhat connected, let's talk about Georgia. So like I mentioned,
and if you get into trouble, I'll bail you out.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Group up! I live for this!
I see. Goodbye.
Sorry.
Name.
Double time!
Go. I'll keep you healed. The pain is coming. I have it back.
The mini over here is high.
Come here and get stabilized.
Let's up the tempo.
You're covered. Walk the ball. Nanoboost is ready. Get ready. I'm with it.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Your power.
Tracer hacked on top of bridge.
EMP activated. Watching your back.
Being activated.
Tracer hacked behind.
في الامتحان يكرم المرء أو يهان.
Push off. Nice.
My ultimate is almost ready!
ده هيفيدك.
For the Crusaders!
Walk it off. أنا هاخد بالي منك.
Nice bomb up.
Thank you, my friend.
ازيك؟
Ana's on me, Ana's on me, Ana's on me.
Enemies on my radar.
Heal up.
Ana's on me, help me, help me, help
You
me.
healed.
Thank you.
Get over here and heal up. Get behind.
Go. I'll keep you healed.
Nerf this! We have a all systems checked out. I'm back to fight.
Zarya's hacked, Zarya's hacked.
Check this out.
Healing in hand.
Push on. Some hand here.
I'm gonna shoot you
Take your medicine.
That was the drop. Double time.
This will only hurt for a minute.
I'm gonna drop EMP when they push on the bridge. Or I'll drop it here.
Get in there.
My bad, I didn't drop that fast enough.
down. Time to read my EPM.
To the beat.
Take your medicine.
Nothing's gonna stop. Oh, this is my jam. Push on.
Time to read
Play
my
passively, play passively.
You guys can.
60 seconds remaining.
I am loving this.
Go. I'll keep you healed.
I'm unstoppable. Time to read my EPM.
This is much better than a cabana on the beach.
30 seconds remaining. Adaptive circuits engaged.
Hold out a little longer.
Lucia.
Defend the objective.
Lucia's hacked, Lucia's hacked.
Thank you.
Get Lucia, get Lucia, get Lucia. Get Echo, get Echo.
He's almost ready. Tactical visor activated.
EMP activated.
Break it down.
Crusaders!
I'm playing, I'm playing, I'm playing, I'm playing.
Check this out.
I have your back.
Zarya's hacked, Zarya's hacked, Zarya's hacked.
This will help. Hey. My ultimate is almost.
Victory. Play of the game.
I am unstoppable.
Welcome to Rialto. Prepare your defenses. Select your hero. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload. Traveling to Horizon Lunar Colony. Prepare your defenses. Select your hero.
I'll be watching. You know, Anna, there are procedures we could look into to repair your eye.
You're very kind. But I'm comfortable with who I am now. It's a good reminder.
Zarya, I have learned to utilize my graviton charge by watching you.
Your compliment is unwanted.
Look after yourself out there. I'll get you someplace.
Enchanting your
This will
damage.
be over.
Yonda. Hello.
Hello there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Moving behind my barrier.
Take a deep breath. Now, let's achieve our objectives.
Enemy spotted.
My spell is still upon you. I have empowered you.
Weapon system optimized.
Your support has arrived. They're all over me.
Oh, excuse me.
I must go where I'm needed.
Briefly yesterday, there are 2 Senate races in Georgia that are officially headed for runoff elections on January 5th. This after all 4 leading candidates in both races failed to secure more than 50% of the vote as is required under Georgia law. But having 2 Senate races in the same state at the same time is odd. Normally, Senate elections are staggered, but Georgia was also having a special election. So what you had in the normally scheduled race was Republican Senator David Perdue running to be re-elected for the seat that he won back in 2014, with him facing off against Democrat John Ossoff, who's an investigative journalist and former House candidate. And in the special election, we have Republican Kelly Loeffler, who was appointed last year by Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, filling the seat of long-serving Republican Senator Johnny Isakson, who retired before his term was up due to health reasons. And she is facing off against the Reverend Dr. Raphael Warnock, who's a Democrat and the senior pastor of Atlanta's Ebenezer Baptist Church, which was actually formerly Martin Luther King Jr.'s congregation. And these 2 runoffs are incredibly important because they will
Now
almost certainly
traveling
determine
to
control of the
Busan.
Senate. Currently,
Prepare for battle. Select your hero.
I'll be watching over you.
There's nothing I haven't seen before. Stick
Hello
together.
there.
We will complete our mission.
Safe beacon 1, safe beacon
How do
1.
I trust a man who is half machine?
The heart of a man still beats inside me.
Are you in need of personal training?
5, 4,
You see
3,
I hate to kill you.
1.
Butter dog.
Round
Dog
1.
with the butter.
Capture the objective.
Butter dog.
Enemy contact.
Let's get you back out there.
Shit. Good there.
The objective is now.
Where does it end? Damage empty. Don't let up on them. Let's get you back out there.
Pick up on the action.
Casting a spell on you.
Good shit.
My ultimate is charging.
Affirmative.
My ultimate is charging.
I'm even stronger.
My healing spell is upon you. My damage spell is upon you. My ultimate is charging. I'm taking care.
You're covered. Light routine activated. Enemy on my side. Get him. Changing position. Nano boost almost ready.
Emma, my ultimate is ready.
My blade is ready to be unleashed.
My servants never die.
The dragon becomes me.
This is not the end.
My target. Don't count me out. Now see what I can
Chanting your damage.
do. Fire at will.
My EMP is charging.
Frozen.
动作，不洗澡。
Translocating. Огонь по готовности.
Group up.
A speedy recovery. I'm taking care of you, Genji.
My ultimate is ready. Come over here.
I have empowered you. Let's get you back out there. Dein Schutzengel ist da. Chanting your damage.
Dead.
Form up. Help me. Casting a spell on you.
Group up. This is strength.
I've got you.
This will heal you.
I still have you.
Fuck, dude, I hate me.
Over yet.
I'm taking care of you.
Get me.
My servants never die. My damage spell is upon
Adaptive
you.
circuits engaged. Honor.
Helden sterben nicht.
Огонь по готовности.
Fuck.
Mercy in Bereitschaftsdienst. It's better. Schutzengel ist da.
Feel the burn.
Team kill.
Come over here.
Science will reveal the truth.
Help is appreciated.
Long before.
My apologies.
Get in there.
We gotta get someone on that fucking echo, dude.
不洗澡。
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
I might need this later. I'm out of enemies on my radar.
Best round lost.
There was a flaw in my approach.
Score 0-1.
So many targets, So little time.
Gurav Mahagot.
Right away.
Hello there.
Hey,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
This will improve your condition. I cast this forth.
Halo. Oh, you're stuck,
I
Gloria.
will unmake you. This will restore you.
The objective is now
Dead. I'm gonna die.
Injured again. Your strength ends.
Hog.
Onwards to victory.
She goes.
Group up with me.
Come over here.
my EMP is charging.
I got it.
I'm not dead yet. My ultimate ability is charging.
My ultimate is ready.
I cast this forth.
Group up with me.
My ultimate is charging. Got you.
Hog.
Surrender to my will.
EMP activated.
This is my will. Thank you.
I got it.
Injured again.
Helden sterben nicht.
Fire at will. The power of destruction. Go through a gluggy. Get into position. Enemy
Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
I'm
I'm a stun.
restoring you.
I'm out of here.
I cast it. Not yet.
Let's get out of here.
Coalescence is charging. Shohei Mahol.
My EMP is charging.
Tell me how this feels. This will improve your condition.
Come here and get stabilized. My ultimate is ready.
I need to recharge. I require assistance. I'm out of here. Injured again.
My ultimate is ready.
This will restore you. Surrender to my will.
EMP activated.
Tactical visor activated.
This will heal you.
May one.
Not ready. I'm restoring you.
Hog.
This is my will. Your strength ends. Allow me to repair the damage. Take cover.
Огонь по готовности!
Get into position.
Yeah, damn, that's 3 ults right there. So.
I require assistance. Mercy is good. Allow me to repair the damage. Gale the Mahol. I'm on fire. You'd be wise to stay out of my sight.
I'm on fire.
round 2.
Good round.
1. Score 1-1.
Try not to get yourselves killed out there.
오신 것을 환영합니다.
The true struggle is for the superiority of ideas.
안심은 안 됩니다. 크리딧을 넣어주세요.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 3. Capture the objective.
Group up with me.
Got you.
Contact.
Get into position.
Time to heal up.
I'm out of here.
This will improve your condition. This will restore you.
Is she dead?
Not yet.
The objective is now.
Soldier weak.
Oh.
Allow me to repair the
Come here,
damage.
get stabilized.
Help me. Regenerating your cellular structure. Your strength. This will heal you. Surrender to my will.
Oh, never mind.
Give mercy.
Above. Reaper above, Reaper above.
My will made real. I
Sorry,
will
weak.
rebuild you.
Reaper weak.
This will restore you.
Oh, shit.
My ultimate is charging.
I'm under attack.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Restoring you.
Healing enough.
Above, Reaper above.
Your strength fades. Get into position.
Oh, I was out of ammo.
This will restore you.
Soldier's got ult.
Gale the Mahal. Allow me.
Got you. Beacon in place.
There was a flaw in my approach. This will heal you.
Good pick.
Surrender to my will.
I've got you in my sights. Everyone heal up.
Allow me to repair the damage. This will restore you.
My ultimate.
Restoring you.
Take cover. Barriers on. Go. I need healing.
Allow me to repair the damage. Not yet.
I had it. Barriers on.
This will restore you. You seem in need of aid.
Nano is ready to deploy.
Get into position.
My EMP is charging.
Zarya, Zarya, Zarya.
Surrender to my will.
Tactical visor activated. Get out of my way.
Gale the Mahal. Perhaps a new methodology is required. My ultimate ability is charging.
Be right back.
My ultimate is ready. I understand. I'm under attack.
Defeat.
GG, guys.
Play of the game. You're powered up. Get in there.
Огонь по готовности!
Double kill.
The Senate is split 48 Democrats to 49 Republicans with 3 seats, including the 2 in Georgia not yet called, though notably the other uncalled seat, which is in Alaska, is held by a Republican who is expected to win. So we're in this situation where the Republicans only really need to win 1 seat to maintain control. For Democrats, both seats are must-wins if they want control, right? It would get you 50-50 in the Senate. And come January 20th, with a then President Biden, a vice president,
Traveling to Dorado. Prepare to attack. Select your hero. Attack commences in 30 seconds.
Never stop fighting.
Alright, greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft Classic Guide. Today, I'm going to do a hardcore warrior leveling guide. This is going to be a retrospective of sorts. I just completed the challenge last week on this character here, 160 with no deaths. And I have a lot of information in my mind that's fresh, that I'm dying to get out to you guys before I forget it. Almost immediately. So I learned a great deal playing this guy. I had a ton of fun playing this guy. Today, I'm just going to share with you my thoughts on talents, specs, has your stance changed on anything, professions, weapon progression, all that stuff. We're just trying to blast through it. And I could probably sit here for the next 3 hours and talk about all this stuff in more detail, but I'm just going to try to blast through it just so I can get something out there on paper, even just for myself for future reference, because I probably at one point want to level a warrior. Again, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. So, thank you for joining me, guys. Let's get right into it. 160 here. Hardcore warrior, retrospective. Let's talk about the general warriors right now. Is warrior as hard as I say it is? Warrior is extreme. It is extremely, extremely fun. The damage is satisfying. You have some of the coolest abilities in the game. Charge. It's flashy.
You're powered up. Get in there.
You do pretty insane damage, honestly. Like, I do feel like they, at least in certain you do more damage deep in the hardcore. But the condition that makes warrior fun is that you have to kind of know classes pretty well. If you're a new player and a warrior, you might be thinking yourself harder. What do you get? It's actually warrior, at least in the hardcore community, and just maybe just in general, is kind of like the creme de la creme. Ultimate challenge as far as leveling classes go. It's a class that really will test your knowledge of the game. But if you have been playing the game as sort of gremlin like myself for so many years now, it's exciting, right? Because it's all the stars come together. It all aligns. You have to know about weapon progression, routing, which quests are going to be a non-starter, which quests are going to be possible. Know how to move, know how to know how to escape, know how to disengage, know how to evaluate little things like what's the mob's armor, what's the mob's level, what's my level, what's my weapon skill, what weapon do I have, is there any guards I can kite this guy to, or, I don't know, there's so many things to consider, and it makes it so much fun and exciting. So, the warrior, it is the most challenging class. It's not rocket science, you don't need to be able to grass ice and go warrior 60. But it's more challenging than the other classes. In hardcore, self-healing, you're skill dependent. I win class again. don't have an escape, you don't have a
My
vanish, you don't
ultimate
have
is
a
ready. Get in there.
damage.
I will beat you. Get back in the fight.
You'll reach you'll almost die multiple times a day.
You're powered up.
Right?
Get in there.
You could just get lucky instead. But with that in mind, it is extremely fun. It's probably the most fun class to watch as well, just because people know how much of a struggle it can be. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so that's my take on Warrior. So now we're gonna move into just some more general stuff about Warrior. I love these specs. All three of them are fantastic. There's so many great talents here. We could sit here for the next 3 hours and talk about each talent in detail. I found like I respect a bunch of times on this journey to 60, and I just found reasons to level almost every single talent. And, you'll find people that are really passionate about arms, passionate about fury. It's a great time. Even stuff that I didn't think would feel good. Stuff like this with new voice feels amazing, a lot better than I thought it would.
Get into position.
I tried Unbridled Wrath, I tried Emo Shot, I tried pretty much all the talents now. I wish I had time to get through all of them and talk about each one at length.
This will heal.
So, what I will say is that this is something I wish I knew at the start. Arms doesn't have to be the slow two-handed spec and the slow two-handed spec only. Fury doesn't have to be the fast one-handed spec, fast one-handed dual-wield spec only.
Group up with me.
Prot doesn't have to be just sword and board. You can dual-wield Fury, you can two-hand Fury, you can dual-wield arms, you can two-hand arms. There are so many ways to build your card. And your weapons, depending on hardcore rules, are your guiding light. If you're playing normally, you know, the weapons still are your guiding light. It's the most important factor that you need at the auction house and stuff, right? But your weapons you obtain change everything else. That's like the hierarchy. It's like the hierarchy. You get a weapon and you go, okay, let me look at this weapon. The 6, look at the damage range, and it really will affect your damage rotation. What abilities you prioritize. There's not one set There's just too many things to consider. How high health the mob is, how low it is, what the fight time is, you know, what level the mob is. Does it have high armor? Does it have low armor? You know, how fast your weapon is, how slow your weapon is, what spec you are, what talents you have. There's just to say this is the rotation ABC. It doesn't really make sense. And once you play a Warrior, you'll see what I mean. But I guess that's the point I'm trying to drive home. Your weapons are your guiding light, and you know, don't think that if you are arms and you get like a sick one-hander that you just go, oh man, too bad. You know, I'm arms. I have to use my two-hander. You know, like too bad. Or maybe I have to respect Fury in order to use it. You can absolutely make it work. So the other thing I'm going to say is that you'll find people that are very, very passionate. They're either in the arms camp and they're like,
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Never stop fighting for what you believe in. Get here. Never. Take your medicine.
I tried, Anna. I really did.
Hold up now.
لسه في ناس لازم احميهم.
last year.
Your arms all the way while leveling. There's people in the Fury camp, Fury all the way while leveling. Now, if you're playing on a PvP server, things change. You know, if you're Alliance or Horde, things change. What level range, things change. My only contribution to this discussion would be this. I think that these specs shine at different levelings.